Welcome back.
Sorry for the wait.
Yeah. So the first episode was kind of like a test run. We wanted to see how everybody, listen to it and what they felt and all that stuff. So we are officially coming out with the show. So this could, I guess, technically be the first episode of the real run. So
Yes.
welcome, welcome. All right. So
Hi.
I would like to. I'm Derrick. This is Janine, and we have our very first guest, Keren. How you doing?
Hey. I'm excited to be here, so thank you for having me.
Yes. I'm glad to have you
Thank
on.
you for yes, and I appreciate you and Derrick's interaction on the social medias because you pushed us to actually get in here and record an episode.
Oh
So
yeah.
you don't even know how much we appreciate you being here.
Oh yeah.
Oh, thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you.
I told her as soon as you and I finished discussing the actual post, I hit Janine up. I was like, yeah, we gotta bring her on. She's our,
Yeah.
she wants to come on. We gotta get the show going. So yeah,
Right.
definitely. But for everyone that doesn't know what we're talking about yet, there's a Instagram account, Spiritual Word, that is pretty popular. They posted they made a post last week um, from this Twitter user. Let me see, KC1 underscore. She says, emotionally unavailable boys will ruin you, by the way. Stay away from nonchalant men that lack affection and compassion, especially if you're a very loving girl. To elaborate, a lot of these men are damaged for personal reasons and will love you, but can't express it slash show it. Now, um, not their fault, but it'll make the girl feel like she's done something wrong. It's not fair for her. It's draining. Fix yourself, please. Fix yourselves first, please.
Yikes.
Yeah, yeah. Let's just get into that first, and then we'll get into the conversation that Corinne and I actually had about this. What are your first initial thoughts?
I felt
My
triggered.
yeah,
Go ahead.
definitely triggered. Like my heart was racing, like, oh, this happened to me. And I'm like, I was one of those people. I know what she's been through. And the scary thing about this is I don't know. I'm not gonna say I know, but I feel as if men will read it and they won't pick up on it and understand why is that? Why is she saying that? Is this
Hmm.
me? Is
Hmm.
it, does this fit my category? Does this fit my life? And that's what made me trigger it because it happens a lot. It's very common.
Right,
Very.
Janine.
I was triggered because I'm married to a slick, emotionally unavailable man. He's a West Indian from Jersey. So emotions, not to say he doesn't have them. Yeah, this guy. Not to say he doesn't have them, but being able to vocalize and express them, he just doesn't have that. Not that he hasn't tried to work on it, but it's so when she says it will ruin you, I think uh, you can allow it to if you don't have the communication with your partner to express like, hey, I understand your upbringing, I understand what you've been through, however we are here now and I need you to try to be a little more emotionally
Right.
available for me.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
And that's like boundaries. I think boundaries is one of the things that create that barrier in relationships when it comes to emotional unavailability. But it also can impact a lot of women because they're not aware of what that really is, firsthand.
right.
And they don't
Mm-hmm.
know boundaries like myself. I can say for myself, um, having that experience that I really did not know or understood how important boundaries were. And so when you don't have those boundaries and you're dealing with somebody like that, you're a breeding ground for manipulation, gaslighting, all kinds of stuff,
Ooh.
and it's really hidden. It's really hidden. Um, and I'm I can say that I've seen men that are unaware as well. They're not really paying attention to the impact of emotional unavailability too. So that plays a big part. It does play a big part.
Yeah.
I think the word of the day should be boundaries because I am overly expressive of my feelings and I'm a light toucher and I want to be cuddled up all the time. But then I had to realize just because I'm like that, my
Mhm.
partner's not like that. So I have to acknowledge when he's in one of his moods, which is fine because some people do need alone time and know like I can't force myself on him because then that's just setting myself up for like she said feeling bad and feeling like I'm not doing enough when it genuinely has nothing to do with me.
Right.
Yeah, and personalizing it. Yeah.
Yeah. So the
Yeah.
only man in the room not to take over the conversation, but how did this make you feel?
Right. How does it make you feel?
Um, I agree. And I know, like Corinne said, a lot of guys that responded to this were. Let me say it like this: I've noticed that I've noticed that whenever I see a post that whether it's on a spiritual words account or not, whenever I see a post talking about men being a certain way and a woman saying, "Hey, we need X, Y, Z," a lot of guys get offended. Like immediately they're on defense. And I can honestly say I was like that. I was like that for a long time. Actually, until,
It's a couple
until
months ago.
yeah, a couple months ago.
Tell the truth. Tell the truth. We need to hear it.
Actually,
tell the truth and shame the devil. Go
yeah,
ahead.
actually, no, actually, when we did our other episode, that that was like maybe November, December. Yeah, somewhere around there was
Yeah.
probably up until that point. I was definitely doing that a lot because the problem is that we as men um we allow ourselves to be guided by ego and pride way too much, and it's hard for us to be able to accept truth because it's hard for us to look in the mirror and reflect because you don't want to. We were brought up. The majority of men were brought up in a way where accountability is not shown in the house. You know what I'm saying? So when it
Mhm.
comes to us actually holding ourselves accountable, we're okay to be held accountable for little things, but when it comes to whenever we're being told that we're not we're not doing our jobs as men, what you mean I'm not doing my job? You know what I'm saying? Like it's
Yeah.
we put a
Right.
guard up. We put our guard up, and it's a lot of that is not being able to work through that entire issue of ego and pride. Um,
And and I think also it's fear. It's
oh
it's
yeah,
fear.
yeah, yeah. I think that especially with this post, I saw a lot of men. Now, so I did comment on it, and I got a lot of heat on there from other guys. A lot of women, liked it and were applauding me for saying what I said. But so I said, men, please do the work on yourselves. I didn't realize I was emotionally unavailable for my woman until it was way too late, and I ended up hurting her and myself. It's extremely selfish and damaging to not do the work. Figure out the why. The
Mm.
work is never done. We forget we're ever evolving and should always work on ourselves. The sad part is we don't learn this until we've already hurt someone. And yeah, that was my experience. Like I know I hurt the woman I was in a relationship with because I was not able to emote. Like I knew I was emotionally unavailable. I told her that. That's the thing. I was able to acknowledge it. The problem is I didn't know how to get through that whole process. And just for saying this, I got a lot of guys called me a simp and call me a liar and all of this stuff, which is fine. I've heard significantly worse for a lot better, so it doesn't matter to me. I really don't care. But I think it's interesting that when a guy actually acknowledges his wrongdoing,
Mm-hmm.
that now, because I know I'm wrong, I'm a simp.
You're soft.
I'm soft. I'm not a man.
Exactly.
So like in addition to you saying accountability really wasn't something we saw growing up, I
Mm-hmm.
think too we're just now getting to a point where we're redefining what being a man is, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
a lot of men our age, I would say in our generation, are still kind of on that old school mindset of men don't cry and men don't have emotions and men don't
Mm-hmm.
and if you do, you're soft, etc. But I think there's nothing more sexy or more confident or more manly than to acknowledge your emotions and to be able to properly process them and to
And not
communicate
only that,
them.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and be vulnerable
Yes.
and just say, I fucked up. I'm sad. I'm angry. I'm angry that you didn't wash the dishes today.
Mm-hmm.
All kinds of things. Like, I want to hear it. You're mad at me? Okay, I'll wash the dishes every day for the rest of the week. That's all
Now
you
I
need
know.
Yeah.
to do. Right?
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I think we're bad at communication in general. I think we as men are bad with communicating because we don't know, I guess, what's the right way to say it? Maybe we don't know what to say. Like a lot of times we don't know what to say, and because we don't know what to say, it we just act it out.
Yeah.
And if you're not like, we get frustrated that women can't understand us, right? We we get frustrated. That's the thing though, like both sides are hard, like it's hard for the other side to understand the other side.
Yin yang. Yeah.
It's
Yep.
yeah, it's like opposites attract, of course, right? But it's like
Mhm.
there's a lot of things that I think we in general, men and women, but I'm going to speak for men, okay? I think we make this thing, relationships, whether you're talking about uh, uh, romantic relationships, whether you're talking about relationships with family, friends, whatever. I think we end up making this entirely too difficult.
But it's not.
I think we do too.
Yeah,
We make
We
it
do,
difficult for each
but
other.
it's not our
yeah,
fault.
yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
thing about shame and blaming and shaming. It's
Mm-hmm,
not our fault. It's
mm-hmm,
how we were raised.
mm-hmm.
And so our parents, we gotta remember that our parents had this slave mentality, and it's not just black households, but it's other households that are going through it.
Mm-hmm.
And so they have this punishment and reward kind of mindset,
Right.
and it's especially hard for men. So with punishment and reward, you're always on guard and trying to people please. And a lot of men are people pleasers, whether they want to admit it or not. And so they learn through that punishment and reward to really suppress their emotions and give to others and feel their needs. And so because their needs are not getting met, they don't have that kind of way to operate through their own emotions to get their needs met. And that's what happens in relationships. I can't know how you feel if I can't understand how you feel and for you to get your needs met if you don't express to me
Mm-hmm.
what is it that makes you angry? What is it that makes you sad? What is it so that we can fix it? Because that's the big part. You can tell me the logical things,
Hmm.
but the logical things and the emotion go together. You
For
make
sure.
emotional, I mean, you make decisions based on your emotions every day, whether you say it's logical or not. Your
Yeah.
emotions drive everything. I feel
Yeah.
confident enough to get this job. I feel like I'm smart enough to such and such. Those are all emotions that drive you
Mm-hmm.
to do those things. And it's more like men and it's not only just men, but it's also women too. But men really I forgot the word, but they really just do. They're more of a doer than thinkers. And so what I'm noticing in my own experience is because they're more doers than thinkers, they don't think ahead of the emotional impact of a situation that happened. You know, like for instance with love bombing, which is really common that happens to women. And with love bombing, it's literally like, okay, um, I like this girl. I want to make her feel really good, and they have these high emotions when they first meet this person. And then so as time goes by, their emotions start to switch. And it's like they're unavailable. And
Hmm.
like all these emotions that you had here is because you're unaware of your emotions and the impact that it will take on to when you further down in the relationship. And now your girlfriend's like, okay, well, what happened to you? What's your feelings? Whatever, whatever. And you was like this in the beginning. I don't know what switched now, and a lot of men are not really consistent with their emotion as they go through a relationship because they don't know how to regulate in a way where it's soft, it's safe, and it's consistent.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, I think we end up switching more. It's more so because that that honeymoon phase ends, right?
Yeah.
Um, the I think that we end up, because it's hard for us to communicate, we end up like you said, just acting. And it's one of those things that I think that we have to be okay with being wrong. Again, it's our pride and ego, right? Like, honestly, I didn't get myself excuse me, myself into check until January of this year, right? I legit started, I had this urge to just read. And I had a book that I bought like 3 years ago that I never read. I don't even think I even cracked the cover open. Um, The Way of the Superior Man. And that book, that book to me is something that both men and women need to read. It does, to me, it doesn't matter if you're talking about a heterosexual couple or a homosexual couple, right? I think that as long as you're a man or a woman, you need to read this book, because you're talking about the way men communicate and the way women understand. That's what the book really boils down to. How each side processes information. And that's the part of relationships that we never got an understanding of. Like, and I was actually having this conversation a couple weeks ago. I am exhausted of how the fairy tale aspect of relationships have been taught to us since we were kids.
Oh God.
I am beyond exhausted
And I
because,
blame Disney.
oh
Disney.
yeah, Disney is a
Yeah,
major
very
culprit.
much a Disney princess. I thought there was going to be birds flying in and helping me get
Hey,
dressed,
like, where's
and
my
there are
carrots?
going to be
Like,
these grandiose romantic gestures. You're going to run down and put a glass slipper on my foot. Yeah, very much thought that that
Uh,
was going to be my life.
well,
Rude
see,
awakening.
yes.
I as a as a boy, I grew up thinking that relationships were were good only if it was perfect. Like no issues,
Yeah.
right? Like the moment and I'm 31, okay? I've been in four relationships and the first three were like that where I thought everything was good and you know for the first couple of months everything was good, then all of a sudden the first thing hits, first that first rough patch hits, right? And then and it's just and literally I think the common thread of all my relationships was that that rough patch hit because of communication,
Mm-hmm.
because I didn't know how to communicate how I felt, or I didn't know how to communicate that I did not understand. I was always operating out of this egotistical mindset of I know what's best, right?
Were you ever dismissive as well
I'm
when
yeah.
things were being brought up to you?
I think not in terms of like what I was doing, but like okay, I'll tell you this: my most recent relationship. Um, I'm so tired of this thing. In my most recent relationship, uh, I actually I did a lot of deflecting. Um, and whenever she would bring up certain things, you know, I'm like, I acknowledge that, but that's not the problem. This is the problem. XYZ. You're doing
Yeah.
Been
XYZ.
there.
You know, and that caused such a rift in our relationship where uh it was hard to do basic things, honestly, like just sitting on the phone and talking because it was a long distance relationship. Just sitting on the phone and talking or even FaceTiming was hard at times because in the back of my mind, I don't feel like things are resolved until we actually attack the issue, right? I'm not one that can just like you know, okay, like we're good and then move on and laugh and stuff like that. I can't laugh in that moment. You know, so like, not directly after an argument. I can't do it. Um
Right.
That's how I am.
yeah, it's hard.
We're
It's
done with
hard.
this. We're back to normal, right? Okay.
Yeah, yeah, it doesn't work
Especially
for
if you
me.
have a trauma response, a fight, flight, freeze, fawn, you're just
Mhm.
like, because
Mhm.
it takes you back. It takes you back.
Yeah, yeah. I like addressing things in the moment. And when I feel like, because this happened with us, like whenever we would get into arguments, if there wasn't an acknowledgement from one of us on something, I didn't feel like it was resolved. So I still kept harboring onto those feelings, whether she did or not. Honestly, I don't know if she did. Um, but I know I did. I know I was harboring onto and holding on to it and feeling like I was neglected because I wasn't
Mm.
heard. You know what I'm saying? So like that's what I'm saying. Like I was still hurt, but I was hurting her because I was hurt and not able to communicate that hurt.
Yeah.
That makes sense to me.
You see what I'm saying?
So
And
I'm
double work. That's double
Right.
work.
yeah,
Right.
30. I've been with my husband since I was 18, right? So and that so 18 to 30, that's my only real
Mhm.
relationship. So all of our growing pains have
First of
been
all,
together.
congratulations to that.
Yeah.
Congratulations to that.
Thank
Yeah.
That
you.
is rare.
Double
It's hard,
digits too.
but
My
we're
Sorry.
here.
God.
Sorry.
No, thank you. So all of our growing has been together, and it's awesome in one way because it's like, okay, like we keep coming over these hurdles and like we are growing together, but it's also hard because like you can't help but to carry all of that baggage with you because I went through this with you. Like
Right.
I every day I see you, like I have to acknowledge it.
Right.
And y'all kind of sharing your stories kind of brought me back to a few things. So Chris Rock said one time, I'm paraphrasing, like men are only loved off of how they can provide, like nothing else other than them providing.
Mm-hmm.
And you spoke about, um, or Keren first said, love bombing, where everything is good at first, and then you just kind of become unavailable emotionally.
Mm-hmm.
You call that like the honeymoon phase. I'm
Mm-hmm.
wondering, right? Once you become serious with somebody and you realize that it's not cheating and it's not just the romantical part of it, now I have to low key prove
Mm-hmm.
why I'm a man here.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like now you being emotionally available and communicating certain things, you're almost hesitant to do so because you don't want her to start feeling like you are soft or that you aren't able to provide in a way?
Yeah. I think I think so. I know from my situation, like I felt some type of way. I okay, prime example. I went into the relationship having already lost my job and she didn't know that.
Mm.
And I was I was doing a lot of freelance video and photography, and I think that I was trying to make myself more busy than I actually was, just so it looked to her that I wasn't just like sitting. I honestly I don't like sitting and just doing nothing. That
Okay.
honestly irritates the living hell out of me. But because it makes me feel like I'm not doing anything, or I'm not contributing in any way, right? And because of that, I had two reasons why I was just busying myself a lot. Um, when she found out, because I did eventually tell her that I wasn't like formally employed. Um, when she found that out, I think she already knew. She kind of already knew. That's the thing. I think we get
We
into
be knowing. Don't ever
oh
think we
no,
don't know.
yeah.
Don't
Don't ever
underestimate
think we
a
don't know.
woman's intuition, okay?
Yes.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
know.
yeah.
We know,
We
and
just gonna
yet we
wait
are
till you
still
tell us.
choosing to love you.
But see,
Right?
that's the thing that shocked me about her. Okay, I wasn't. I what's the right way to say it? She treated me as if I was already what I wasn't in the moment, right?
Mm.
So like she treated me above the level that I was on, and gave me the utmost respect when in other relationships I wouldn't have been given that respect. I didn't have that respect in my very first relationship. My very first relationship, I was still I had just gotten into college, and well, I'm sorry, I wasn't. I've been in college for a few years, um, but I wasn't working then, and she told me, like, 'cause she was actually very rich, like her parents were very rich. She didn't have anything, um
Let's make
but
that clear.
yeah.
Okay.
But I told her, I wanted to get a job, and I was thinking about going to go work at the Kroger that was around the corner from my house. And she told me no. She said, if you do that, I'm breaking up with you. And I was like, you know, she thought that was below, like that was
Mhm.
mediocre work, right? So in my mind, the entire time from that relationship on, I held on to that, like, okay, I can't do that. I can't look like that, like. So yeah, with this last relationship, like that's what I held on to for so long, for so long. But I think that's because that's where my value was. That's where I placed my value, not where it was, but that's just
Mhm.
where I placed it, right? And how I could provide, and it forced me to actually make more promises than I was able to keep. So like I was playing behind the eight ball the entire time. The majority of the relationship, I was trying to catch up to what I was promising, right? And and she never demeaned me for any of the stuff that any situation I was in, but I felt like I was demeaning myself
Right.
and causing myself more harm, which then affected her. You see what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. Like that's why in on that post I'm like, heal yourself. Like work on yourself first, because we'll never be in a space of perfection, right? That's
Mhm.
unrealistic. But to operate in a space of healing is actually a lot better, because of the fact that you have a better perspective on things, you have a better understanding of things, and you know how to properly communicate and receive. So it's kind of, that's why I say like it's us. Like it I know women, I know you all have your thing, right? But like as the men, like we have to do the work.
You know what's crazy? On TikTok, I have seen a video about a woman was saying that, the world would be better if there were no men. And, I'm like, that's
Mm,
not okay. It's really not okay. But I'm wondering, like, what are men thinking when they see that? Like, are they seeing it like there's something really going on? Like, are we the problem? Really the problem? But of course, it's a lot of men that they just have a lot of ego, and
mm-hmm,
they're just afraid to accept that they are the problem sometimes,
mm-hmm,
and they can work on themselves and they can heal.
mm-hmm,
And a lot of people are, like, for instance, I dated somebody who had an addiction, and he took, his addiction as priority more than his mental health.
mm-hmm,
And that did place a big part in emotional maturity. It impacted his self-esteem, my self-esteem, our sex life,
mm-hmm.
um, just regulating our emotions and lashing out and all kinds of things. So it's like men have to be able to come in a place of strength to, take care of themselves. It's the
Mm-hmm.
best form of self-care is healing. The
Yeah,
best form.
yeah,
And it's a
yeah.
life journey. It's a life journey. It's not a destination. It's
Right,
not.
right. And that's why I was saying that too. Like we forget that we're ever evolving, because like you said, this is a constant thing. It's something you're consistently going to have to work on. And because we evolve, we see new things within ourselves, as long as we're willing to see, as long as we're
Yeah.
willing to look for it. Like we'll see those new areas that we need to work on and heal from. Because like even just going back to your childhood, like there's a lot of stuff that we have to be okay uh with working on. Like that was actually something that I know off jump. Like I know I gotta go to therapy. I've been saying that for like three
Years.
5 years. Yeah, it's been it's
Right.
been
Right.
it's been a while. 5 6 years I've been saying that. Um, but nah, like I know I have to do it, because like I personally don't want to bring kids into this world and start the
Right.
cycle over again.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like I
I
I
have a
don't want to
question.
do that. Hmm.
I feel like you kind of already answered it, but just so it's clear in my mind, I feel like a lot of women, we think or we credit ourselves to be fixers. We feel like, oh, well, even though he's like this now, like I can fix him or I can help him grow or I can help him get through whatever this little cloud he's in, right? Do you
Like,
feel like there's anything that your previous partner could have did to push you towards this journey of growth, or is it genuinely something that you have to decide it's time for?
No, she actually did. That's the thing. Like, she actually did. She see, here's the thing. Like, when I say, like, even in my roughest moments, that she still addressed me um as if I was on a higher level than I actually was. So because she did that, it made me look at myself a lot, where I was just like, hold up, I need to match that. I'm a competitor. At the end of the day, I'm a competitor. Like,
that's understandable.
you're
Yeah.
not gonna, you like, if you see this and I'm not operating in this space, nigga, what are you doing, bro? Like, go. Like, and so I'm put that makes me now push myself to go, right? So yeah, because she treated me as if I was a king.
And you are. You should say that.
Yeah, but she actually treated me like that, right?
Right.
And it made me actually look at myself in different moments and try to work on it. But the problem is, um I wasn't aware that, like, working on myself was something that I didn't know how to do. So because I didn't know how to actually work on certain things, I just kind of, like, I started winging it. And instead of talking to her about it and asking her to help me and go on that journey with me, I just kind of, like,
Isolated yourself and try to do it.
I
Yeah.
I self isolated. that is
Mm-hmm.
that's
Oh yeah.
perfectly,
Yep.
yeah.
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 Yep.
So because of that, I hurt her even more.
Yeah.
You know
Because
what I'm
you're
saying?
triggered. You're
Yeah.
triggered, and your word. There's a word for it. It's called deactivation.
Hmm.
Everybody goes through this when we are in a space of healing. I actually did it myself when I broke up with my you know, last partner,
Hmm.
and I was in a space of isolation. When you get in that space, it's really your body is learning new pathways. There's a psychological part to that, and really, it's your mind trying to wake up,
Hmm.
and you start to question everything.
Yeah.
I'm like questioning my childhood. I'm like, well, I wasn't this kid all along. My childhood was a lie. And then you're like, well, my mama was like this, but she didn't really mean it like that, because you're finding out new information. Well, I'm like, well, I'm not treating my partner right. And
Hmm.
maybe I did something that, kind of did turn the wrong way. And so you question everything that you do. And then because it was so much emotional, it's very emotional when you go through that awakening part and you're
Hmm.
healing. And so you isolate because you don't know what to do. You don't
Right.
know how to seek for help. You
Yeah.
don't know how to reach out for a friend and say, hey, do I really show up this way?
Yeah. Yeah.
And have you seen me this way? Or you don't know how to call your family and say, well, listen, y'all lied to me this whole time. You never told me that. She said this. You
Yeah.
don't know, because it's really a spiritual awakening. It
Yeah.
really
Mm-hmm.
is.
Yeah.
And it's like God is finally speaking to you, and like, click. And it
Yeah.
happens after the age of 25. I don't know why it starts at 25, but it does.
It's
Yeah.
It
funny you
does.
said that, because I've been saying that for the last couple of years. Like, when I hit 25, I felt that first shift, and went through a little, for the next couple of years, went through what I went through. But then 29 into 30 was when I felt it go into another gear, and like I started understanding it things a little differently. Now I will say from 30 to 31 now, it it's felt like life has been able to slow down. Are you familiar with like different things with basketball?
Him and these basketball
I'm
just
so
throw it
sorry. I'm
there.
so sorry. So like they say when as like NBA players are in the league like for let's say about like 5 to 7 years, the game starts to slow down for them. It starts to slow down. Four to maybe 4 to 7 is the game begins to slow down for them, and they're able to process how the defense comes at them. So because they're able to
Mm.
process the defense faster, they're able to move quicker on offense. And that's how I felt like things started to process for me. I felt like I was able to process everything slower. I was processing everything a lot slower, so I was able to move faster with how I was reacting
Relating.
to certain things. Yeah,
Yeah.
and honestly, like that didn't really start to click into gear until last fall, where I started to really feel that, and then that's when I went and I was isolating even more, and like Janine, you've been here the entire time this has happened. Like
Hmm.
Yeah.
it's weird because like I started isolating more and just like diving more into my work and trying to work as much as possible. Like she knows was
Yeah.
I'm working day morning to night into the next morning, editing and all this other stuff, right? So it got to the point where I started to kind of like try to numb it a little bit instead of working on a lot of the pain. And yeah, work was my drug, basically. Um, so yeah,
Protection from you handling it.
You were basically having like a trauma response. You
yeah,
were.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's I don't know. I can honestly say like maybe if I had seen this post last year, I don't know how what I would have said. I really don't. I may have agreed with her, but then I may have pushed back a little bit.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, we end up hurting our partners because we don't know uh how to communicate. We don't know how to also not kill our ego. We don't know how to put our ego and pride in check. So it's like you got a Rottweiler that you don't put on a leash.
So I have a thing for that when it comes to ego. What I did learn, I came up with this quote online. I forgot who is the owner of this quote. I wish I had it, but it is called I am a learner and I know nothing.
Mm,
And that teaches you how to separate yourself
mm-hmm,
from your ego and literally just have your ego in a placeholder where you can be a observer of your ego
mm-hmm,
and not act based on it,
mm-hmm,
you know. And that's one of the things that really shift my way of thinking, because there will be things that where I just point out and my partner, like, you're not showing me emotion, and you're not doing it, and you're not doing it. And now I'm coming in a place where I feel as
mm-hmm,
if you're not being there for me. And I need you to be a little bit more open so I can understand you better. And that's where I can better that communication because I'm looking at myself
mm-hmm.
from a second set of eyes. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah,
Yeah, and with men, I really do recommend reading Nonviolent Communication
yeah. Mm-hmm,
by I think it's Marshall Marshall something, but it's called Nonviolent Communications on Amazon, and I do recommend reading Emotional Intelligence 2.0. and Attached. That is also a big book to read because it does help you to understand how to love in a place where you're more secure and
Mm-hmm.
you are more less you're less ego based and you're more in tune with your authentic self. And that's what I recommend for a lot of people to read. Not just men, but women as well. Because for me, I do have problems with my emotions. I notice that there are some ways that I show up where I am emotionally unavailable.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of women, we tend to act based on anxiety,
Mm-hmm.
and we really want to fix a problem right there and there in the moment. And we never knew that space was actually healthy. And a lot of men like to take their space. They like to say, give me like a day or two. And, we act based on our fears of abandonment and rejection. And that's where we also become emotionally unavailable.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I have to take in that, I have to look at my partner like they are my mirror. What they
Yeah.
doing, I'm probably doing too.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's not just men, it's men and women. My partner will always be the people that I choose will always be my mirror. So I do
Yeah.
recommend those books though. They are awesome. Awesome.
No, I agree with that. I think that I can let me ask you guys this. What is it about women that makes women think that they can fix a man?
Our ego thinking that he will change for me. Like we think we
I'm just like,
we we think we are so amazing and we are just going to be this beacon of light that's just going to make something click and it's going to make him change. And then I think by nature we're just nurturers and we're a little more patient than what
Mm-hmm.
we have to be. That's why when on this quote she said, it ruin a girl that is super loving. And I
Mm-hmm.
feel like I almost got to that point a couple of times because Keren talked about how a lot of men are kind of like uh, people pleasers. I identify with that.
Mm-hmm.
I am a pleaser. I will put my emotions on the back burner because I don't want there to be tension. Don't
Mm-hmm.
want it to be weird between us. But I
Mm-hmm.
think the most important thing you can do in a relationship with somebody who is emotionally unavailable is to communicate and be honest about your feelings, but in a positive way versus being like you're not doing whoopty whoopty whoop. Like like she said, I feel I could use you doing more XYZ just so that they are aware of where they can.
Yeah.
um, for my point of view of why women, a lot of women, including myself, because um, I've been there. Like I said, I've been there. For me and my perspective, the reason why I have stuck with someone who was not ready to be in in a healthy relationship is really because how I was conditioned in childhood.
Mm-hmm.
When and I'm gonna be really short. I'm gonna try to be really short. The way that I grew up with a single mother,
Mm-hmm.
and I had younger siblings,
Mm-hmm.
and really I was also going into high school at this time, and I became really responsible for my siblings. I had a parental role,
Mm-hmm.
and I was taking care of my siblings. We were homeless for 4 years, and my mom would go back and forth to work. We would be traveling to state, back and forth between New York and North Carolina. So I really, without even me knowing psychologically that I was playing this nurturing mother parental role, and I was still a child. I was still a child. So this was wired in my brain, and it was really consistent. And so I had this nurturing, like Janine said, I was nurturing, I was mothering, and I was only like 15, 16, and 17, throughout my high school years. And so a, it became my way of being.
Mm-hmm.
And so I carried that on, with the people pleasing tendencies. And I carried on with trying to change control because I was, in control of my siblings. I was able to have that kind of, I was able to have that kind of, dynamic where I was, playing that role of taking care of them. So I really took that role throughout all my life. I never knew it was a wrong thing. I never knew that my siblings were not my responsibility. It was just
Mm-hmm.
something that was brought on to me. And
Mm-hmm.
so when I started dating, it was a subconscious thing. It's not a thing that I'm consciously trying to take care of you. I'm
Mm-hmm.
never going to be like that because consciously I don't want to take care of you. I don't think any woman signs up to take care of a man. I don't think
Yeah.
every woman does. It is a subconscious thing. So I literally will stay in a relationship, and it was something that I just knew that was normal for me because it was normal in my life and it was my comfort zone. And that's all I knew. I just
Yeah.
knew to
Mhm.
take care. I just knew, like, hey, you got to go see help. Hey, I cook for you, or I was doing those things
Mm-hmm.
and not really being aware of the fact that I was raised and trained, and it's just been embedded in my mind to be that kind of woman, which is not a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like I said earlier, we have to have boundaries because we have to know who we are. And if we don't know who we are, we're going to be breeding grounds for emotional immaturity, manipulation, narcissism, all kinds of things that a lot of people aren't aware about. And self awareness is very important. It's very important. So,
Yeah. No, I agree with that. Go ahead. Go ahead, Jay.
Oh yeah, and then to piggyback like from what you said, I think loyalty is a big thing too. Like we have this notion of like we have to hold it down, and like we have to
yes.
be loyal to that person, and have his back through the ups and downs, even if he's not addressing things the way that it needs to be done. And I saw it with my parents, like not to get too deep off into their issues, but my parents were together since like 18, 19 too, and they grew up together, and you know um, their communication skills weren't that great, and it
Mm-hmm.
was oftentimes like just disastrous, but it worked. It was like loving dysfunction. And I think because
Wow.
I saw them hold it down and get through it regardless, I had that embedded in me too. Like even if it's not working right now, like I just
Mm-hmm.
gotta hold it down. But
Right.
you have to know who's worth that. Like you can't do that with everybody because everybody isn't worth that loyalty.
Right.
And
And
that's so true. True.
yeah, no, I agree with that. But like there's so it's weird to me because like I've heard women say that they can fix a man, like they can, he might not be this way right now, but he'll be this way with me or whatever, right? Like,
That's wishful thinking.
yeah, but it's like it's weird because like what's the fine line between fixing and nurturing?
We talked about this off
Control.
air a little bit, about how you know men sometimes or women sometimes will say I want the male version of me or I want the female version of me, and that's a fucking lie because
Yeah.
you don't
I'm not,
you
what?
don't
People say
want
that?
people say that you don't want
I
that
don't.
because
Yeah.
I think, no, I'm not here to fix you, but as your woman, as your partner, I am here to help you grow or
Yes.
to get you out of your comfort zone to experience life in a different way than what you've been doing up until this point,
Mm-hmm.
right? So
Mm-hmm.
like you said, it's a fine line. The fine line for me is if I don't see you at least trying to change, right? And we speak, like, for instance, the whole love language thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you need to acknowledge your love language, but you also have to acknowledge your partners and how they choose to show love, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I've learned to appreciate the small wins, even if you're not, like, for me, I need words of affirmation, right? Like I said earlier, a, a West Indian from Jersey, I'm probably not going to get that as much as I want. But
Yeah.
if I see him doing like little acts of service or 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 a gift of some kind, I'm like, okay, this is him trying to
Mm-hmm.
show
Right.
me. So I have to acknowledge it and appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree with that. I agree with that.
I think also we have to understand that we cannot get into relationships and not talk about trauma.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
that's the biggest thing. And I
Yeah.
think people are afraid that they will repeat that that experience, especially with people who have PTSD
Mm-hmm.
and they are not, aware that they have those kind of issues. It
Mm-hmm.
does play a big part. It does play a big part in emotional maturity because, like I said, self awareness is saying, I know I have this. I know that I may be able to not communicate right now, but I need some time. So then they can come in that space where even when they know they're not ready to talk about the hard things like trauma and shame and all of the things that a lot of couples don't really talk about, they need to be able to come into that space because that's where we understand them the most. That's where we're the most vulnerable
Mm-hmm.
and plays a big part.
I have a question about that. So I spoke earlier about how, me and Drew pretty much went through the growing pains together. So anything that I know, anything I did, you know, and we've worked past it kind of, right?
Right.
And I think people who are still dating, they have the benefit of not necessarily bring baggage into the next relationship because you decide to date somebody new tomorrow, Derrick, you can elect what parts of your past you share with them. Like you don't have
Mm-hmm.
to share everything.
Mm-hmm.
You pick and choose.
Mm-hmm.
So when you go into these new relationships, like how do you choose what is being so that it doesn't feel like I'm just dumping all of this trauma and these past relationships on you?
For the most part, I think for me in my experience is when I'm triggered. Is that's where I become very vulnerable and say, hey, I acted this way because, you know, this happened to me such and such a long time ago. That's the only time I do. For the most part, it's never like, I'm gonna tell you everything now. You're gonna learn everything about me. Where's the mystery in it? Like nobody wants that.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're just
Yeah,
upfront. We
but
don't
when
have
I'm
time to
triggered,
waste. Here's everything.
yeah, I really feel like I owe it to my partner to for him to understand because I want to, as a woman, I want to feel seen, heard, understood, and valued.
Mm-hmm.
And that means even talking about the things that nobody wants to talk about. I want to say, you know, well, the reason why I lashed out at you, and I'm not saying that this is okay. It is how I have been operating, and I'm working on this. But I lashed out because you made me angry about this. You made me
Mm-hmm.
feel this way.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
when I was with my mom, she used to shut me out. She used to think that me expressing my anger was me being a bad child, and that
Right.
happened to
Right.
a
Just
lot of
being
kids.
disrespectul.
A lot
Yeah.
of parents, yeah, a lot of
Mm-hmm.
parents are very just, very like that. And well, my parents or my mom is very judgmental, so she used to talk to me behind my back. And so when you talk to such and such about what you did today, it makes me feel a type of way. Like
Mm-hmm.
there always something that is going on in our past that happens in our present. And so that's why I take it really into consideration to tell my partner not only what I've done and hold myself accountable for the things I do, because I think accountability is the biggest part, but also why. And so that you can say, okay, for the next time that this happened, I know why you did it.
Mm-hmm.
I know that this is a habit and I know you're working on it. And you
Mm-hmm.
have that awareness about me. And I really want to see that in with men as well. I want to see that in my future partners. I want to be able to understand them so that I can understand them better. And so I can love them better and say, well, we're gonna move away from this trigger. I know what triggers
Mm-hmm.
you now. We're not gonna go back there again. Because
Mm-hmm.
when you get mad, you punch the walls and you can't have that here. You
Yeah,
know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah, yeah,
Right.
yeah. No, but you just said something like women, you like to feel understood. What was the other three? Understood, heard,
seeing her,
valued.
yeah, understood, heard, value. Yeah,
Yeah, we want to feel that too. And I think we don't in a lot of situations. I think as a collective we don't. I it also could there could be multiple reasons for it. One could be that, like you said earlier, Janine, we bring baggage into our relationships, but the thing about bringing baggage into other relationships is that we don't unpack. Like it's like literally coming home from the airport with your suitcase, leaving the suitcase at the
Yeah.
front
Mhm.
door, and walking away. Like like literally the
we're
same.
always gonna have baggage.
We're always gonna have baggage,
Yeah.
yeah, but like I
It's
want to
how
like
we deal with it. It's
help
how
me
we deal
unpack
with.
it. Help me unpack it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. And I think that would be one way to help both sides, men and women, to feel those things, because instead of it feeling like it's just me working on this, I need you to help me process what I'm working on. See, like that's what I didn't have the ability to say last year. Like, I need help getting through XYZ. Like, I'm letting you know. See, I'm the type of person, like, men in general, we like to fix things all the time, right? Like, it's just how we're wired. Um Solving problems, that's how we're wired. And that's what I was looking at. I said, okay, I got to fix this, and I got to solve this, and I got to figure out what's the root cause for XYZ. And I took that on as just my work, mine alone. That's it. And instead of allowing her to help me unpack, you see what I'm saying?
yeah.
And because I didn't know how to ask for help, I just did not know. So I'm literally going, open the suitcase, getting out
Just dumping it out
dirt.
on the floor.
Yeah.
Okay.
All the dirty
Yeah,
shirts
just
and
take a
drawers.
shirt, take a
Yeah,
shirt out, take
just
a shirt
everything. Yeah, just everything just fall on the floor. And I'm making this big mess. And I won't let her help me clean it up. That was my problem.
Yeah, that's
Mhm.
exactly how. Yeah, that's exactly how it is. Yeah,
Yeah, that was my problem. But I didn't recognize that till a few months ago. You
and
see what I'm
that's a
saying?
good.
Like,
That's a huge win for you. That's a huge win.
oh
Yeah.
yeah, most definitely. But it's like, at the same time, like I said in that post, like, you don't realize it until it's too late. You see what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
and that's why, like, had I worked on all this prior, I'm sure we would still be together. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure of that. But like, I just didn't know how to get through that. So it's one of
Okay.
those things, like, we just, and I'm not even saying she did not allow me to feel like I was seen, heard, understood, and all that stuff. Like, I'm not saying she didn't do that, but
You didn't give it a chance
I
to.
didn't give her the chance to with certain things.
That one.
Yeah.
That's one. And I think
Yeah.
patience is a big thing too. Like when you get to this point, like you said, where you feel this shift, right? you have to acknowledge the fact that your healing and your unpacking is not going to be an overnight process. Like it's a process and it's to
Yeah.
take time. So
Yeah.
as
Right.
much as it's a process for you and you have to have patience with yourself, you
Mhm.
have to have patience with your partner. And I
Yeah.
tell my husband this, like, you think because I'm not picking up on what you're trying to explain to me right off top that I don't understand you and that this was a waste of time. No, you're sharing something with me for the first time. I have to be able to process it and be like, okay, this is where you are and this is how we need to move forward.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, but like we operate out of space of just logic. Like it logically has to go this way. And if it doesn't logically
Mm-hmm.
go this way, it doesn't make sense.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
You all are able to just like
Do both.
go right at it. Yeah, it's like, but like is, and I say like I'm really bad at multitasking. I need to focus on one thing at a time, right? And one step at a time. I can see the end goal, but like my focus has to be on what needs to be done right now,
The
right?
strategy, pretty much.
And but that's why we shut down. That's why we shut down because we're focusing on a lot of stuff to just like, okay, I need to put it right here. I need to just work on this right here. And we have our heads down focusing on this and we're neglecting everything else around. Like neglecting that, our partner's right there willing to help, but we're just pushing her away.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I had one time, my last partner, I was really at this stage where I was like, okay, we have to break this negative cycle. He's not opening up. He's not doing this. What can I do? And at that time, I was questioning myself, and questioning everything around me, including him and my
Mm-hmm.
choices in choosing him. But I came across something. It was called attachment theory, and I was looking into it, and I'm like, well, what is this? And it really showed me that everybody has an attachment style. And I was looking into it, and it was really showing us the behaviors that each attachment does that subconsciously self sabotages their relationship. So we don't know we're self sabotaging as we're in these relationships. We thinking that everything is normal, everything is good, but really in the backside of it, it shows you a list of every single behavior that shows up for you if you are this attachment. There's four of them. And there's a quiz if you guys want to take it online. I really do recommend it, and I really do suggest like really doing the research on this. And but at that time, I think the most hurtful thing for me was me trying to express to him like, hey, I'm looking into this. This is showing us like what we're doing because it's an anxious and avoidant kind of dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
He was like a withdrawal, and I would be like, come here, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he knew that we were subconsciously in this pattern.
Mm-hmm.
So I was trying to express it to him with, deep thought. And I was like, listen, like, we're in this cycle. And he dismissed it. He really dismissed it. He was like, not here, not today. I'm not going to do it. And I'm like, just please, just look at it. You don't have to do
Mm-hmm.
too much.
Mm-hmm.
Just look at
Mm-hmm.
it. And he never did. He never did. And it really was hurtful. It was the most hurtful thing because I'm trying to help you, and I know that you had issues in your past, and I'm one of those people. Even if it doesn't work out with me, I want it to work out with you in the future
Mm-hmm.
because I love you
No,
that much,
no
and I'm
speaking.
wanting to show
Mm-hmm.
you something that may better. If it's not with me, it will be with somebody else,
Mm-hmm.
and it was some people are not ready, and I had to accept that. It was very hard for me to accept that some people were not ready, especially when I really wanted him to be on that same journey with me in healing. And that it was really hard. It was really hurtful, and I was sad about that, really sad.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's it's just
Do you
weird.
all believe in taking a break, allow your partner to grow and then get back together? Or would you much rather it be, if we're through this, it needs to be together?
Yes and no for me. I'm gonna let y'all go though. Yes and
No,
no.
go ahead. Go no, go ahead. Go ahead.
For me, I think that taking a break um really does help because you can get clarity. And when you're in love, you don't get too much clarity. You do have the blind sides to a lot of things. Um, when you're with someone, though, okay, like when you're single, you can't get triggered, right?
Mhm.
So you need someone to show you and reveal those triggers. So you you can't heal while you're single. I mean, you can heal while you're single. You can get the knowledge and the tools and the strategy, but you won't get the trigger. You won't see on the surface what is it that you're not working on or what you are working on. So
Mhm.
it really depends on the type of relationship, and it really depends on whether it's a fixable relationship or it's not. If it's not fixable, I would say, yeah, you can break up and take your time off and do what you got to do. But if it's fixable and you got the healing, then of course, I would definitely say stay with that person. Allow those triggers to come up and work through them.
Yeah, if you had asked me that question last year, I would have said hell no. There's no way. You're stuck with me. We work on this together, right? Um I think it's beneficial. Um because I mean, I guess it depends on the amount of time you need a break for, right? If you know what that amount of time is, I think that's great. Just take a couple of a couple of days, couple of weeks, or whatever. But if you're talking about like an extended break, uh, I think it's beneficial either way. But you just gotta know what that looks like for your situation, right? I didn't know um how long it was going to take for me to work through my process because to be completely honest, I was at last November, I was at mentally, I would say I was just like I was I had bare minimum. I was at bare minimum in terms of like my mental strength and like uh just being able to acknowledge a lot of things because again I was emotionally unavailable. Like it was just I couldn't feel anything. It didn't matter what was going on. I honestly just could not feel, and I knew that that was dangerous because that doesn't make any sense. If you can't feel someone tap you on the arm, like not because you're not paying attention, but you just physically cannot feel them tapping you on your arm. That means there's something that's wrong. Like a nerve is dead or something, right? Like it's nerve
Right.
damage in certain area, right? So I knew I needed something. I needed to work on why I couldn't feel. So and that's what I ended up telling her. I don't know how long it's going to take for me to work through this, but I know I have to work on this. And it's unfair for me to drag you through this entire process because it could be for a month, it could be for 2 months, it could be for a year, could be, what I'm saying. Like I didn't know how long that was going to take, so I told her, it just like it doesn't make sense for me to be selfish and hold on to this relationship knowing that this is something that could take a while. It could, and in hindsight, it only took me once I started the process. three and a half months to actually like work through it and understand. And then it's like as soon as I did all of that, everything lined back up for me. So now I know I'm in a better place, um, mentally and emotionally and spiritually. I'm in a significantly better place. This is the first time I felt peace, like inner peace, in 20 years. I have not felt this. I have not felt like myself in 20 years. And I've told people that before. Like if you've met me after I was 11, you didn't get to meet Derrick. You just met like almost like a
Survival
representative.
Derrick.
Yeah, it was survival mode. Yeah, that's exactly what it was. So now I'm in a place where it's just like now I know what I need to do to maintain that inner peace, right? And I'm actually I'm a lot happier now. So the had I known that wasn't going to take as long, but had I known that, we probably would have taken like just a little break or whatever, but nothing significant. But yeah, see. That's the thing. Like I now that I know this, that's why I'm saying like that's why I was trying to talk to these other guys on this post. Like, yo, do the work. Like you'll actually be in a much better place, in a much better mental space if you're just willing to just say, hey, I don't know. I don't know everything. And like we
Right.
like to act like we know everything. We really don't. Like I even like I would say even like maybe 9 months ago, I swore up and down. You really couldn't tell me anything. Like, hey, I got it, I got it, I got it. But
Right.
now I don't know everything, man. I don't, and I'm okay with saying I don't know. But there and so that's the thing. Like in my professional setting, if I'm on like a movie set or whatever like that, I act like I don't know anything. That's the weird part about it. It's like I knew how to do that, but I wasn't applying it to other aspects of my life to just say I don't know. It's so hard for us to just say those three words. It really is because we're so ingrained in ego and pride, So yeah, I got a lot of backlash from that, but it is what it is. It's fine. I don't care. I really don't care, and I don't even know
They
if I.
will be okay. They will be okay.
Oh, they'll be fine.
Right.
They'll be fine.
Internet thugs.
Yeah,
They'll be
yeah,
fine.
yeah. But it'd be good to see more men get to that place. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Who you telling?
it would
I'm
be.
waiting for that day. I'm tired.
Yeah. Hey, look, and
Like,
we're tired of hearing it.
right.
That's the thing. Like,
Exactly.
that's what I'm saying. Like, it doesn't. What doesn't make sense to me is if you're tired of hearing a woman complain about something,
Fix it.
why don't you just work on it?
Exactly.
It just,
Where's the root problem?
yeah, just work on it.
I mean, it's a logical thing, right? Since y'all love logic so much, find the root problem.
Yeah. Yes,
Exactly.
but I, I I I don't know. I think there's a lot of stuff that we need to learn from each other. But I think the only way we can get to that place is if we just learn ourselves.
And be open and be vulnerable and
Hmm.
say I fucked up.
Yeah,
Say I don't know shit. Like say
yeah,
I need help. I
yeah,
need help. I want somebody to help me and I want to be able to help people. I need help.
yeah, yeah.
Nothing wrong with that. It's okay not to be okay. It is. It really
Hmm.
is.
Yes.
Hmm. Yeah, but that's something I'm actually hoping that our generation is able to kind of like implement that for the next generation. or because, or at least more of us will be able to do that, so that the next generation can be more like that, to where going
Yeah.
forward, that's not an issue, because self-awareness is a powerful thing. Like, just knowing who you are, and what, like you said, what triggers you and all that stuff, just knowing those little things, like, it's so powerful. And like, we haven't tapped into our full potential or our full power, just because we won't sit down and do the work.
Yeah. That's so true. So true.
Yeah. Well, all hearts and
That was
minds.
a lot of unpacking.
Yeah, it was a lot of unpacking. Yeah.
That was unpacking of the
The
metaphorical
baggage was
suitcase.
at the door.
Right.
Yeah, but oh my God. All right. So, Keren, please let everyone know where they can find you.
Okay, you guys, you can find me at PYT Casilla on Instagram. Do not find me on Facebook. That's personal. And I do make music. I'm PYT Cassia on YouTube, and that's it.
All
Yay.
right, all right. And Queen Janine.
Instagram at Nina Soul. And yeah, you just find me there and you'll find me everywhere else because there's links.
Yeah, and you can follow me, Derrick underscore OTS, DERRICK, the black way to spell it. But I prefer you not follow me. I would prefer if you had one thing to do, you had choice between following me or following the OTS page. Follow the OTS page at
Yes.
OTS guys on every platform. We're on YouTube, we're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're on Instagram. Um, I want to do TikTok. I want to get us a TikTok. I can't run TikTok though. That's just not happening. That will not. You will never see me do that. But one day we'll get there. We'll get there.
Yes.
Visit the website otsguys.com. We have new articles that are up there. You will see new videos, and the page is getting a little revamped and redesigned a little bit. So go check it out, and let us know what you think. But Keren, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you
And
for having me. It's been
and,
awesome.
and it was her first podcast. This is her first podcast.
I could not tell, honey. You're a natural.
Yeah.
Oh,
Such a good job.
Thank you. That is good. I'm gonna sign that off right there in my bucket list. I did
Yeah.
podcast.
Yeah, but Venus and Mars is officially here. So
Yes.
we'll have a consistent schedule out for you guys pretty soon. But in the meanwhile, check all the other OTS shows out, and give us some good feedback. Let us know what you think. Subscribe, and leave some comments. Let us know what we need to do. What you feel we need to adjust, and just give us some good, honest feedback. All
Yes.
right. So thanks
Yeah.
again. Thanks again, and we'll catch you all later.
Bye.
Bye.